Tesla to $720 a share on Elon's vacation to Hawaii with Larry Ellison is our story for today when it comes to Tesla's production and earnings for Q4. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. Also wanted to thank our Patreon supporters. Your support makes a huge difference in the success of the channel. It's greatly appreciated. If you enjoy the show, please take time to like and subscribe. So today is an interesting day for those of us who analyze Tesla. In particular, why it's interesting is that Tesla doesn't tend to operate like other companies do in terms of how we know what earnings are going to look like, and etc. As you'll recall, in the last quarter, Tesla's numbers were partially driven by the entry into the S&P, but the bigger issue was that Goldman had actually figured out a way to find out how many of the vehicles had been software enabled. And so they were able to anticipate the numbers and present a case for how those numbers were working. This semester, or this quarter, what we decided to do was sort of collect a bunch of data from a number of different angles and then come to a conclusion and then see how that fit against the most important piece of information was that Elon had announced that, hey, we have an embarrassment of riches right now. We have a shortage of vehicles, and therefore we're confident in our numbers. So there are a number of ways we could go through this, but I'll just start off with what I call the Elon Vacation phenomenon. So as you know, Elon Musk has a rule, and the rule is that vacation is bad for your health, so he does not like to do vacations. In particular, he had an incident where I believe it was a honeymoon vacation that he went on, and I believe it was in Africa, and evidently he caught some kind of bug and nearly died. So based on that experience, he decided that he would no longer do vacations because vacations, as he said, are kind of bad for your health, which brings us to currently the fact that Elon is on vacation. And how do we know this? There's a lot of news reports of the fact that it turns out that Larry Ellison actually bought an island called Lanai in Hawaii. Evidently, he controls or owns 98% of that island. Elon's Learjet has been seen on that island. Now, why is it a big deal? Well, it's a vacation spot, so in theory, Elon is taking a health dangerous vacation right now. So the operative question is, why is Elon taking vacation now? The reason we ask that question is that it turns out that what we've found over the last, let's say, 2 or 3 years is that depending on the demeanor of Elon, that kind of tells you how the numbers are doing. So if Elon is helping to do deliveries and actively involved at that end of the business, they're actually pushing to get enough cars out to meet the agreed upon production numbers. On the flip side of that, if Elon is in the factory assisting in the production process, that's usually a sign that we have a problem in terms of how many cars are being delivered, and he needs to figure out a way to try to push for those numbers. So he'll cajole by actually writing memos. He'll also go into the factory and see where he could be helpful. And then he and his mom will kind of gang up to get a solution to this. So the next process, so the bottom line is that if Elon is nowhere to be found near the factory of Tesla and he's working on other things or SpaceX, it's a sign that he's very confident in what the numbers are relative to what he'd agreed upon. Now, one of the other variables that we've noticed that we can evaluate whether or not they're going to meet numbers is the fact that if you're going to miss stated numbers to the public, there's actually an SEC rule that requires you to announce that before this occurs. And we're not seeing that, so therefore this is another sign of where we are in my mind relative to is Tesla going to meet the numbers that they've agreed upon. So, as I said, Silicon Valley is very unusual in that big corporate clients will be very careful on the process with which they release information, especially within 2 weeks of earnings. In the case of Tesla and Elon, things, as you know, do not work in a usual fashion. So what I wanted to review today is what we've just gone through in terms of the process. Elon is so confident in the numbers that he's not worried at all. The only thing that I think is a problem for what I can see is that we've been getting emails at least once a day, every other day, regarding inventory of Model S's and X's. And I think that might be a little bit of a fly in the ointment, but I think they'll get the new vehicle deliveries done consistent with certain numbers. So if this was 6 months ago, a year ago, this would be a sign for celebration, expecting a 50 to 100 point jump in the stock price. The problem, though, is that Tesla has enjoyed a nice jump in price after there was a switch. So in essence, the company has stock price has done very well heading into the S&P. So the problem right now is what's going to happen to the stock price as we head into the this period. The answer is right now we're in somewhat of an unknown zone. What I mean by that is that basically, according to the analysts, and if you look, we've just had 2 or 3, in essence, downgrades. Gordon Johnson upgraded the target price for the stock to $38. Cowen upgraded from $300 to $380. So we really haven't had any Tesla bullish analysts sort of run through numbers that give us a solid sign that A, the numbers that we're at are great, and B, they're upgrading the stock price anticipatory of solid numbers validating the company continuing to move up in its stock price. So basically we're in an interesting zone right now that's just described. Well, what will happen? Our target number is about $720 a share, and we're expecting production numbers to come out perhaps after the market on Friday the 1st, but more than likely Tesla usually waits between 2 and 3 days before they announce what those production numbers are, and then you can start to build out what all the numbers are for the company. So again, because Elon seems real confident, the balance sheet's looking great with all the extra capital that's been raised. He's on vacation, encouraging employees to continue to work. The only thing that I'm very surprised by is if you have a shortage of vehicles for customers, I was thinking, why not just smash the number and sort of keep the pedal to the metal until the end of the quarter in terms of production so that you could optimize what that number might be, and every incremental vehicle sold or delivered would also sort of positively influence how the growth rate of the company is doing relative to the stock price. So, if he's already met the number agreed upon and the company's doing well, no need to sort of overwhelm employees. The other update that I think will affect the stock is Tesla shut down for 18 days production of Model X and S. So the question is, is that business, portion of the business, that soft? Is it possible that they're going to do some upgrades to those vehicles that'll help sort of reignite sales? Now, we've kind of gone through all of the positive elements that have occurred. There's a number of reports out there. For example, I read an article from Forbes that indicated that if you look at their European market share, Tesla's actually down in Norway and some of the other places in Europe, and therefore we could see numbers that really don't meet the numbers because they're kind of losing market share in certain places. The flip side of that is UK and Germany have seen a dramatic increase in sales. So it's possible that would make up for losses that might have occurred in other parts of Europe. We just did a story about the fact that China is having challenges with electricity right now. I actually have dug for it but have not found it. We actually found research that said that Tesla may actually be in a stronger position in China because their superchargers are being allowed to electrify, and while everything else is not. So it's possible that creative Chinese could actually step out there and decide that they're going to buy Teslas because they can get power into their homes from those Teslas, and they can get the vehicles powered up while other things are suffering from the power shortage that the rest of China is experiencing. We don't know the answer to this yet. If you are one of our viewers in China, we do have a few of you, it'd be great to get an update from you on what's happening with this. This is just a reminder. Please take time to like, to subscribe. And we also wanted to encourage you the fact that if you make mean and comments that are designed to embarrass, we're just going to block you, because there are a lot of really smart people that are on our channel, on our comments page, and we miss out on the opportunity of getting their input and growing the knowledge of everyone from their input when we have ridiculous comments being made. So please, constructive comments only, and we're happy to respond and be supportive of that. But if you've decided that you want to be evil, no problem in blocking you. So our long-winded statement is the stock is actually up nicely today already. What we're looking for right now is at least one or two upgrades from somewhat bullish Tesla analysts that would help propel the stock further. And I think we'll get it, because all the signs are the company's doing great. The only challenge I see is that based on that growth rate we're going to see, are we fully valued? And so I think that we'll breach 700 after we get out of the pin that would occur on Thursday at the end of this week. But I think Monday into Tuesday, the anticipatory to those numbers, I think gives us a nice push on the stock price, and we're actually looking very much forward to this. At any rate, I definitely really looking forward to the comments that we have, and particularly looking forward to Paul and some of the other viewers we have in China helping us assess how the power shortage is affecting Tesla and other EV manufacturers there. The one other note I wanted to make today is that there's a discussion going on in Yahoo regarding the fact that Tesla is going to really experience a slowdown of their business in China in the coming year. And that sounds good in theory. The problem I have with that analysis is that there's a backlog of Model Ys right now. And NIO, for example, has sold their 10,000th SUV. And I believe the numbers are similar for competing firms in Tesla's price range. So what this suggests to me is that NIO, I guess in the last 5 years, has sold as many SUVs as Tesla builds and sells in a month, or vehicles as Tesla builds and sells in China in 1 month. And so, yes, they're doing pretty well, but I'm at the edge of my seat waiting to see if the Model Y will be delayed further. And the main reason for the delay is that there's no, the reason for the delay, we don't know, but they're ready to produce at scale. They've got a large backlog of Model Ys, and we look forward to see what happens with this outcome. So we'll keep you posted as we get more info, and we look forward to your input as well, because we have some brilliant folks that are on our page. At any rate, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. I wanted to now move into what we usually do as our health tips. Don't forget your 25 leg lifts a day as a way to strengthen your quad muscles, reducing potential knee issues. Also wanted to encourage you to consider the 5-2 or one of the other diets. The 200 doctors we surveyed, about 60 of them all have some sort of fasting that they're doing. The easiest one for me was a recommendation from one doc in Bethesda that you only eat on half the calendar. So from in a 12-hour period, only eat on the half and not on the other half. I thought that was the least painful that I'd heard of fasting, but there were a number of ideas thrown out in that space. We also wanted to encourage you, if you're engaged in lovemaking, to think about having a very light meal like a salad, because your blood flow will actually focus on food digestion, for example, and not be available for other activities. So it might be something to consider as well. At any rate, tschüss, au revoir, lehitraot. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a great day.